Too young. I wonder how I sound. Hopefully okay. I got like a loose hair or something falling down my back. But hi. Why am I doing this again? Because I want to get better about clearing up the thoughts in my own head, creating narratives that I can understand out of the things that are happening. In other words, creating order out of chaos. Because when it's all in my head, then I'm like, it becomes, when it's all in my head, it gets way too jumbled. And like I can see it being not the actual size that it is. It gets way bigger than it actually is when I'm thinking about it and when I don't say anything. And writing is good too. Writing is helping. But the thing that I'm worried about is if I don't have my own narrative in my head about things that are going on, then I will be very susceptible to other people's narratives, and I won't be able to stand up for myself. And that's what I worry about. So I'd like to be able to know what I'm thinking, think through it, and be able to explain it, regardless of what somebody else says. Because if I can't do that, then my reality is not real. I mean, the things that happen are only as real as you can explain them. Does that make any sense? Like if something happens and then you can't explain it, like let's say let's use a real life example, shall we? I get a little too close to the okay, let's say I'm in my truck and I'm pulling up to my parking garage and I get a little too close to the garage door that's supposed to automatically go up, but it doesn't automatically go up until I'm too close to it and I'm touching it, and then it finally decides I'm going to go up now, and it yanks my front license plate up, and then now my front license plate is still bent. So that's fun. Let's say something like that happens. If I can't explain that to somebody, it may as well have not happened. I mean, I guess they could still look at the license plate. Maybe that's a bad example. But you know what I'm saying? Like if I can't tell the story, that's what I'm trying to say. If I can't tell the story, then it's not real. It didn't happen because somebody else can tell their story and just bulldoze right over mine. It's like mine never happened. So, I think that's a good time for a bean break. Yes, it is 8 a.m. and I'm eating beans for breakfast on a Saturday. Don't judge me though, because I have been traveling for work for like the last 3 hours. 3 weeks. I've been traveling for 3 hours. No, I've been traveling for like 3 weeks. And I haven't been to the grocery store in a long time. Sorry if you can hear my chewing. That's gross. But yeah, no, I haven't been to the grocery store in a long time. Like probably a month. And so when I came home I got home Thursday evening after work because I had left on Sunday. So I get home Thursday, and I come home and I'm like, I'm hungry. Let's eat. And I have nothing to eat. I had eggs in my fridge, and that was it. So I had 8 fried eggs for dinner that night. Last night, what did I eat? I ate 3 frozen hamburger patties that I had in my fridge and a can of beans. And then this morning I was like, I need something to eat. So here are my beans there's another can of bean breakfast. Mexicans would be proud. Yeah. So what else is going on? Yeah, I've been traveling a lot. I went to, where did I go first? First trip was to Charlotte, North Carolina. That was a lot of fun. And that trip, it was a partner thing, so it wasn't just us. I mean, it was only me, but I was going to meet one of our partners. And that was a lot of fun because this show that we were doing had an event at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And so one night we show up to this NASCAR Hall of Fame, and there's food everywhere, there's people everywhere. You can go in the racing simulators and all this stuff, but the thing that everyone was excited about was this moonshine tasting event that they had. Because I think I knew this already, but I didn't remember it. NASCAR was started from moonshine. All these guys built really fast cars to outrun cops. And so they could, trade and sell their moonshine. And that's how NASCAR got started. All these freaking rednecks just started being like, hey, I bet my car is faster than yours. And they're like, but it's not. And then they started racing. And that was about it. Anyway, so they had a moonshine tasting. Wow, great story. They had a moonshine tasting, and that was the place I had maybe the worst strawberry I've ever eaten in my life, because they had 3 kinds of moonshine, and there was this one guy there that was way too excited about moonshine, and he wasn't even serving. He was just like attending, and he was standing by this moonshine booth being like, this is what's going to happen. This is what's happening. This is what you're experiencing. This is what this one's going to taste like. And he's just way too excited. I think he stood there for like an hour. So when I walked up, he was like, how's your experience with moonshine? And I'm like, frickin' limited. And he's like, okay, well, try the basic one first. Try the no flavor. And so I did. And it tasted like gasoline. I was like, that might be the worst alcohol I've ever had in my life. Like, vodka's disgusting because it just tastes like straight frickin' kerosene, gross, nasty, light your neck on fire to get out of it type flavor. And that moonshine was worse. Moonshine was worse than that. And I'm like, how do you... Anyway, moonshine was worse. And then he was like, okay, if you didn't like that, now you know what it tastes like. Go ahead. You can try the apple pie shot now. And I was like, okay. So I tried this apple pie moonshine. Damn good. Tasted like moonshine, but also mostly like apple pie. Like more apple pie than moonshine. You know what I mean? It's like there's this brewery, this little microbrewery in downtown Denver called Win Coop. Some people say Wine Coop. I think they're wrong. But I've always said Win Coop. And they make this green chili beer that is more green chili than beer, which is good if you like green chilies. But if you're looking for a beer, that's not what you want. So same idea applies to this moonshine. If you're looking for moonshine, apple pie moonshine is not really what you want because it's really sweet and it tastes good. It tastes like apple pie. Yeah, anyway, that was definitely better than the first one. The first one was garbons, like just nasty, dude. Ugh. Second one, apple pie, pretty dang good. third one, what was the third one? Oh, the third one was the strawberry. And so they had strawberry moonshine in a damn jar. And they had strawberries floating at the bottom. Kind of like, I don't know. What's a good analogy? Kind of like pool toys at the bottom of a pea-infested child swam in pool. Nah, that's dumb. But yeah, there's strawberries at the bottom of this jar. And these strawberries have been sitting there for probably years since NASCAR was invented. And they have soaked up the most moonshine. It is so bad. It's so bad. The moonshine itself tastes like strawberries. I mean, it was definitely stronger than the apple pie one. But it wasn't terrible. The moonshine wasn't bad. It tasted like strawberries. It was strong, but it tasted like strawberries. They put a strawberry in my shot glass. And so I drank the moonshine. I ate the strawberry. And I don't think I've ever thrown up from taking a shot. Like when I was new to taking shots, when I was in college, when I was in high school, we would take shots and I'd be like, wow, that's the worst thing I've ever encountered in my life. And because like when you're first drinking, you're like learning how to pretend that this tastes good, you know? And then when you get to be an adult, you're like a professional at pretending that it tastes good. And you're like, oh yeah, look at the notes of leather in this bourbon or chocolate in this wine. It's all terrible. It's all really bad. But when you're a kid, you're just, you know that, but you're like, I want to get to the end result. So I'm going to put up with this. And I don't know how to fake it yet, so I'm just gonna kind of. Yeah. So I felt like I was back in high school because I was just chomping on this berry. And I was like, this is not good. Yeah. There were a few times I thought about spitting it out. Because I really was like, ugh. Also, sorry if anybody is a, what do you, I don't even know what you call those people that when you go, ugh, and they start to actually gag. Those videos crack me up. Anyway, that's what I was doing. It was like somebody was going to me. And this strawberry probably took me a minute to chew because it was kind of hard, kind of rotten, because it had been sitting at the bottom of this jar for years. I don't know. Anyway, that's my moonshine story. Moral of the story, though, I went home. I went back to my hotel that night, freaking lit. Like, really, really quite intoxicated. All right, more beans. Get your protein up, big fella. Yeah, I had 8 eggs the other night. Last night I had 3 hamburgers and a can of beans. Yeah, get your protein up. I've been eating protein. Whenever I go on these trips, I always find the nearest Chipotle or Qdoba, and I just abuse the workers there. I go in at least once a day, usually to get 2 bowls at a time. This is what I'll do. White rice, black beans, double protein, whatever it is, either chicken or steak. But here's what I do. I don't say double protein at first, because sometimes they skimp on you a little bit. I'm like, okay, I want white rice, black beans, and chicken. And they're like, all right. And then I'm like, actually, I think I need double chicken. And then they have to go, whatever they just put in, they have to put exactly twice the amount because they know I can see it. Anyway, it's probably me just being a cheapskate, but I want my protein, dude. Like, give me my double meat. Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. So that's what I do. And then I get extra guacamole because of the extra calories and the good fat. Fajita veggies. Whenever I go to Qdoba, I always get a little bit of spicy queso. Usually some corn, some pico de gallo, and then some green salsa. And what else? Cheese. Yeah. And then we're good. And it usually fills me up pretty good. I ask ChatGPT like every time because I can never remember. I'm like, how many calories is this bowl, chat? And they're like 1,200. I'm like, sick. And I eat 2 of them. Yeah. No one understands the grind of a high metabolism. They're always like, oh, it sucks to be you, dude. Wow, I wish I had that problem. I wish I could just lose weight without doing anything. And I'm like, it's so expensive to keep weight on. Like, yeah, it's cool. I'm not saying I would rather have it the other way. I'm just saying everyone has a battle. And obviously, my battle is not as difficult as some. I'm not saying that. Some people have a crazy battle with weight, and I feel bad for those people because some of them have like thyroid problems, or some of them have legit food addictions, or some of them, I don't know, they just weren't raised in an environment that's conducive to exercise, or, you know. So I realize that I do not have the hardest. Like, this is not a problem. I'm not saying this is a problem. I'm just saying if you deal with anything for every day of your life, you're going to get good at dealing with it, but it's also going to wear on you a little bit. So I'm not complaining. I'm not trying to complain because I'm thankful. Like, Lord, thank you for my metabolism. I'm thankful. But sometimes it does get expensive, and eating that much hurts, to be honest. Oh, dude. I feel like a rhinoceros sometimes because I'm like, oof, that's a stinky boy right there. Anyway, rhinoceros are very flatulent creatures. That's what I heard when I went to San Diego Wild Animal Park when I was like 6. That's what they told us. They were like, rhinoceros are very flatulent creatures. As we were camped immediately adjacent to these rhinoceri. And they're like, yeah, they fart a lot. And we're like, cool. Can we camp somewhere else? They're like, no, you're good right there. We're like, that's awesome. So anyway, that was my Wild Animal Park experience. And that's why I eat a lot of protein, and I try to eat a lot of food for that reason. Anyway, what was I going to say? Well, I can't remember. That's all right. I think those beans have been sitting in my cabinet for probably, I think I moved with them. And I moved like a year and a half ago. More than that, year and 7 months. So yeah, I definitely did that. So yeah, I mentioned earlier that I want to be able to craft my own stories in my head because I don't want them to get stomped out by someone else's. And I find myself out in real life not being able to do that very well because it's this slippery slope. Like, I'll experience a little setback, like, oh, that story didn't come out how I wanted it to. And then I'll be like, okay, that's a little failure. And then the next time I go to tell a story, I remember that. And I'm like, okay, that last story didn't come out how I wanted it to. Maybe this one won't either. So maybe I'll just not tell this story. And then I keep getting, because I'm not doing it, I keep getting worse and worse and worse at telling these stories. And so the less you speak, the less you understand. The more you speak, the more you verbalize something, the more you make it linear and put order to the chaos going on in your head. Thank you, Jordan Peterson. I'm reading 12 Rules for Life right now, and I'm on Rule 2, which is make an order out of chaos. And while I was reading it, while I was reading it, I came to that page and I was like, okay, that's actually a really good way of thinking about learning. Because all you're doing when you're learning is you're creating, or is you're accepting all this chaos that's around you that doesn't make sense to you yet. So it's chaotic. And then you're creating order to it. And so your little bubble of order is here, surrounded by chaos. And what we're doing as we're going through life, as we learn new things, is our little bubble of order is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it feeds on the chaos around it, and it kind of transforms it into brings it into the order bubble. And that just keeps getting bigger as we learn new things and as we go through life. And so some people's order bubble is just bigger than others. And I find that to be the ones who have large order bubbles are good speakers. They're good speakers because they have big order bubbles, and they have big order bubbles because they can speak well. So I tend to be slow to tongue. Call me Moses. Moses, I empathize with you because I don't always speak very well. It takes a little while to get the juices flowing, you know? So what my primary goal of sitting down to do this is to get used to speaking at length. Because for one, my attention span has not been very long. It's not been very long. And so I'll lose my train of thought right in the middle of speaking. And then I can see that the person I'm speaking to sees that, and they're like, their faith in where I was taking them is gone. Their faith in where I was taking them is gone. So all I want to do is make order out of chaos. And I understand that chaos will never go away. Like, that's just... Chaos is. It always is. And order is... Order is how we understand. It's what happens to the chaos when we understand it. Understanding is the process of understanding and learning is turning chaos into order. I think that's pretty fair to say. And honestly, it's just me talking through this is helping me understand it. So talking through things is such a good idea. And I tend to get to the point where I'm like, if I can't make a good impression on somebody, I don't want to say anything. Because I like making a good impression on people. I'm a people pleaser for sure. I know that I am. Have been my entire life. So if I can't make a good impression on somebody, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to make a bad impression on them. And I know I can always tell what mental state that I'm in, how my mental capacity is that day. I can tell where I'm at. I'm good at telling where I'm at. And if I can tell that I'm not in a good place, I'm not in a place where I'm going to be able to speak well, then I will typically not, because I don't want to sound like an idiot, because I know I'm not an idiot. I just I haven't practiced the art of stringing together a lot of thoughts. I haven't practiced the art of speaking at length in a while. And so that brings me back to my point. I just want to be able to speak well and to hold the conversation without it completely draining me. And so that's why I don't have social media, because it hurts my attention span, really. It completely destroys my dopamine receptors. I don't really know how that works, but I know that when you're on social media, blasts of dopamine. And then when you're off social media, you're like, this is boring, because you're not getting those crazy hits anymore. It's also why I quit nicotine. I say, as I have plans to go smoke a cigar with my friend later today. Oh well. I quit Zyn, I should say. I quit Zyn. Because I got to you get to a point with Zyn where you're like, okay, I am miserable without this. And really the only thing that I'm looking forward to are these little nicotine hits. Like, I would look forward to driving in the car because I could throw Zyn in. I'm looking forward to baseball games because that's a good place for Zyn. I wouldn't actually look forward to the things. I was just looking forward to being able to ingest nicotine at these things. And so when you do that, your brain is like, I don't know, you mess up the whole shebang. You mess it all up. And yeah, see, there goes my attention again. You can see it in my eyes. There it goes. Yeah, I just want to be able to, what I have found since quitting nicotine is that I heard John Mayer explain this about alcohol. When you quit alcohol, you don't have those high hits anymore. Like, you don't have those crazy highs. But what you do have is, since you don't have those crazy highs, your base kind of gets better. Like, everything kind of raises up a little bit. So you're not, boom, hitting those crazy roller coaster peaks. But everything is getting better. You know? Slowly, obviously. It's not high. So that's why it's so hard for an addict to be like, to quit something, because they like those highs. And they don't have the patience to wait for everything to get better, even though it does. I find that whenever I don't drink for a while. And honestly, I get a high out of saying, no, I'm not drinking today. I get a high out of that, which is not good. That's not the point. That's not what you're supposed to get. But I do. I get a high out of saying that, because I'm like, okay, there's my discipline. Like, my discipline just won right there. And I think it's knowing that I'm doing something that will better myself that helps me, or that gives me that little kick. You know what I mean? More beans! Yeah, okay. I actually need to eat a lot of these. Hello, Mr. Greenlight. I need to eat a lot of these. Come on, eat more. Come on. Today's leg day. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go do legs, like right now. Well, like after this. I got my Wata. I got my pre-workout. With all the creatine at the bottom. Come on now. Mix it up, sugar. So I don't want this to be like a trauma dump session or anything like that. But as I said that, there is one thing that I do that I want to get better about not doing. Whenever I say something, I always hear it from the perspective of somebody else. And instead of staying true to what I'm saying and keeping my focus on what I'm saying, I will stop it by hearing what I'm saying from somebody else's perspective, judging it, and then getting insecure about it. Self-conscious, I suppose, is I don't know the difference between insecure and self-conscious. It seems like they're very similar. Self-conscious is exactly what I just said. You say something, and then you hear it from somebody else's perspective, and you're like looking at yourself. You are conscious of yourself. Conscious of self. Self-conscious. And insecure to me seems to be the same thing. Because you are insecure. Maybe you're insecure when you're self-conscious. And that's one way to be insecure, is to be self-conscious. There are probably other ways. I don't know. I'm just thinking through this. But maybe that's kind of how it works. I don't know. You're insecure when you're self-conscious, for sure. And I tend to be very conscious of myself. I don't want to be, but I tend to be. I think one thing that I do that it's really bad for that is I really like how I look when I look decent. Like when I shave and I'm getting all ready and I'm doing my hair and I'm wearing my new oversized t-shirts and I'm like, I like how I look. And then I look at myself in the mirror for a little too long, sometimes a lot too long. And I have found that is one of the worst things that a self-conscious person can do, is become more conscious of themselves. Because that's what you're doing when you're looking in the mirror. You're becoming literally self-conscious. Conscious of what you look like. Conscious of your appearance. And so once you see that in yourself, you can kind of see it in other people. And you're like, oh, you're struggling. That's what you're doing. You are so self-conscious right now. Because, I mean, some of these girls, especially the one, like this one that I went out with recently, beautiful girl, like literally a 10 out of 10. Beautiful. I outkicked my coverage on that one a little bit. But we went out on this second date. First date was just coffee. She didn't have any makeup on or anything like that. She was still just absolutely stunning. And then the second date, we went out and she had obviously done herself up a little bit. But because she had spent time on what she looked like, I could see a change in her spirit. And she was less in the moment, less here with me, and more thinking about what she looks like. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so the more you look in the mirror, the more self-conscious you become. The more you look in the mirror, the worse off you are. I literally have that written on my whiteboard right there. I wrote this last night as I was figuring it out. I wrote, the more you look in the mirror, the worse off you are. Obviously, that's what it is. And to be honest, when you look good and you think you look good, that is a crazy dopamine hit. And when you look in the mirror and see yourself look good, you're like, damn. But then you're thinking about that all day. It's the same feeling. It's the same feeling as when I've been scrolling for an hour. I mean, I don't have TikTok or Instagram or X or Facebook or anything, but I do have, sometimes I'll download YouTube and I'll just watch shorts. And that's not good for your attention span because it's just dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit. But that feeling that I get after watching an hour of shorts, I feel all kind of gummed up and like nothing's really flowing like it should. And I get the same feeling after I've looked in the mirror for too long. I get the same feeling. It's like, all right, that was a hit for sure. And then I leave and I'm like, oh. And then I find myself just looking in the reflection, like even in my truck door reflection. I'll look in that. I'll be like, hey, how's the dew, you know? And I purposefully got out of bed today and did not do my hair and just plopped myself down after I microwaved my beans, obviously. Microwave your beans. It's good. Feels nice. But after I did that, I sat down here. Purposefully didn't do my hair. Because I was like, okay, let's see what the difference in spirit is between when you do it and you spend a lot of time on it and you don't. And the truth is, the more time you spend on something, the more you're going to think about it. And then the more you think about it, the more time you spend on something. That is just a cycle. That's the cycle I was experiencing. I don't like that cycle. So, I lost my train of thought. See, there it goes again. I'm growing it back. My train is adding a car, probably one car every 6 weeks, something like that. But it's coming back. Yeah. So I do not want to do that. I do not want to be somebody so obsessed with how they look that they miss out on everything else. Because the truest joys in life, I have found, are social interactions. And the ones that mean the most have a lot of love associated with them. And how do you get there? Is you're never going to feel that love. You're never going to feel that consistent base lifting if you're constantly hitting these highs. Because I don't know how the brain works. I understand what I observe in myself and others, mostly just myself. I understand what I observe in myself, and then I apply that to others too. Typically, it's kind of true. But this is how I would guess. And Joe Rogan kind of actually has something similar to say. But he says like energy units. He says his brain, he only has a certain amount of energy units. He's got 100 per day. And he can't use them all on one thing, because then I'll have nothing left for the rest of anything else. I'm seeing that as like a big bowl of dopamine. You only have this one bowl for the day. You have this bowl, and you can pour a lot out watching shorts, and then you have like not very much left for the rest of your life. Or you can pour a lot out looking in the mirror, and then you don't have much left. And dopamine is what helps you. Dopamine and serotonin together are what help you be smooth, or what helps everything be just flow really well. And if you don't have those things, you're going to be clunky, and you're going to be stop and start. It's kind of like somebody just learning how to drive stick. They're going to suck at it, and you're going to be listening to them speak, and it's going to be like watching somebody learn how to drive stick. You're like, I don't have anything to say because I can't string any long sentences or long thoughts together because I've been messing up my mind. I've already used all my dopamine for the day. And so, see, this is why it's so important to talk through things, because I'm just learning all of this now. And this is also a really good way to like teach yourself to not be corny. Because corny is when you're rehearsed. It's when you've thought about it. But if you let it out as you think about it, obviously, think before you speak, there's that for sure. I'm kind of trying to do that, but you shouldn't think about, like if you're going up to order coffee and you're standing in line and you have a little bit of social anxiety and you're like, how's this interaction going to go? I'm going to go up there and I'm going to make this joke and be like, hoo, wow, you look like a Christmas tree because you're wearing a red shirt and a green apron. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas to you. If you have some stupid little thing prepared like that and you go up there and you say it, it's like you're reading from a script. And most of you, well, I am not a good actor. And so when I do that and I'm so prepared for how this interaction is going to go, and then I have the script in my head, I read it and I'm a terrible actor. And then they're like, they can tell something's off. They're like, And then, God forbid, they don't do what I expect them to do. And the whole interaction goes awry because I'm not prepared for it. I've only prepared for this one situation that I've laid out in my head. And then it doesn't go according to that situation. I'm lost. And then it's like I'm trying to start. It's like I'm trying to learn how to drive stick again. I'm just clunk, 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 because I can't think of anything because I'm not present. I'm prepared. Too prepared. Because, okay. This is what I think. You can be prepared for something, but you can't think about how the whole thing's going to go. Like, if you're going on a date, I'm saying this from personal experience. I have been on many dates, and I sometimes am nervous about them. And so I always find that they go a lot better when I think of things, when I think of conversation starters, they go better. But even that is not true. Okay, they don't go well when I start playing the date out in my head before the date happens. That's when they don't go well. They do go well, honestly, when I'm in the moment and have nothing prepared. I mean, sometimes I'll think, okay, I want to ask them this because this. And what is that? Why is that okay? Because that's preparing, but it's not coming from a place of fear. It's not coming from a place of, if I don't have this thing prepped, then I don't know what's going to happen. And that's kind of you're right. But I think coming from a place of fear is, you're like, I don't have anything prepared, so everything's going to fall apart. If that's your assumption, then that's what's going to happen. But if you're going in from a place of genuine curiosity, and you're like, I like this person and I want to know this thing legitimately because for some reason, I don't know what the reason is. Like, maybe it's because I like them and I want to understand them more. Maybe it's because maybe it'll uncover something we have in common. I guess that's what it is. It's where you're coming from when you're preparing. Like, if you're preparing from a place of fear and you're like, "Ooh, I'm scared and I need to have all these things to say, otherwise I'm not going to be able to think of it in the moment." That's true. You're going to suck. And I'm talking to me. I'm talking to me here. This is so I can get all this out. But if you go into this date and you're like, I have all these things that I'm curious about because I like this person, I guess it's just about being genuine. Like I've said for the last few months, I really want to lead with my heart, which sounds corny in and of itself. But it's true. You can feel it. It's like when you take that step off the cliff, it's like you're not prepped for anything. You're kind of just very present. And it's really hard to do that when you suck at speaking. So, if you suck at speaking, get better at speaking. How do you get better at speaking? You talk to a microphone and an iPhone. Because then you learn how to tell stories at length. And I realize I'm getting all on my high horse now. I'm getting all lectury. But I realize I'm just talking to myself. The reason I'm doing this is to get better. Because there's a lot of things that go on in my head, as with anybody, I think. Like, I'm not special in that regard. Everybody has things. But I just want to be able to explain them to myself so they don't spiral out of control. I want to have the strength and the practice to be able to craft my own stories and my own narratives. And so by speaking at length, I will get better at that. That's really what I want. That's what I want. I want to be well-spoken, present, good storyteller, all of the above. And I gotta say, it really does. Everything kind of gets better when you don't drink. Like, I don't drink very much, but for the last 2 weeks, I don't think I've really drank. I had a couple beers at my friend Carter's birthday party last weekend. But before that, no drinks. The week before, I was in Charlotte. Yeah, I was in Charlotte. Oh yeah, and then I told the NASCAR story. I drank a lot there, obviously. Yeah, I drank a lot there. Case in point, I met this girl at a bar. She was my bartender. Ended up getting a little swifty, and she thought I was fun and nice, apparently, because she said yes. And when I asked her if she wanted to have dinner with me, we didn't end up having dinner. She had to work the night that we went out. So I got to Charlotte Sunday night, set up for the show all day on Monday. Monday night was Monday Night Football. So I was like, I'm going to go watch football somewhere because my hotel room is boring. And so I went to the Charlotte Beer Garden. Shout out. It was awesome. I ended up sitting at the bar right up front and watching football, talking to this dude that was sitting next to me who turned out to be the world's greatest wingman. And then, yeah, it was a lot of fun because I ended up talking to the bartender. Her name was Cassandra. Very cute, very sweet, very funny, likes EDM. We were just talking for a while, and then right as I was about to ask her, she goes, "You want my number?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'd love to take you out soon." She's like, "How long are you in town?" I'm like, "I leave Friday morning." She's like, "How about Thursday?" I'm like, "I can do Thursday." So she had to work that night. And so Thursday night I showed up right at about the time she was done. We went to this place, had a couple drinks there. I had a couple more at some other place. Went to this EDM club where one of her friends was DJing. It was a lot of fun. Had a great time with her. I didn't go to bed till 3 o'clock that night. And then I got up at 5:30 to go catch a plane. So 2.5 hours of sleep. That was a good idea. Anyway. My point is, I've been drinking a lot. I had been drinking a lot. And it was really bad because the more you drink, the worse you feel. Duh. And then you drink to feel better, but then it's like you feel worse after. It's like, here I am. It's exactly how my mom used to explain getting high. She's like, okay. And I don't know if this applies to weed. I've still been trying to figure that out. But any other drug, when you get high, here's your baseline. You use the drug, you get high. Woo! And then you come down. But you come down lower than your original baseline. And then you're like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to get high again because I'm low now. But the thing is, you don't stay low forever. You just have to wait. And being patient that's what sucks because you have to wait while life sucks. And you can't do anything about it except suck it up. And so you're at the bottom and you're like here. And then it takes a long time for it to come back up to baseline. But once it does, it keeps going up. It doesn't stop at baseline. It keeps going up. I mean, obviously things happen and it brings you back down. But when you're not using insane dopamine releasing substances, including social media, alcohol, drugs, mirrors, when you're not using those things, your peaks and valleys are much less dramatic. Again, I'm speaking to me here. Don't let me get lectury. I'm speaking to me. They're just much less dramatic. And, I tend to be kind of a cyclical guy. I tend to have really high highs, and because I feed into that, I think it's my thought process because I'm like, oh, I like how this is feeling. And then I get real high on my horse and my ego gets enormous. I mean, I don't know where this phrase comes from, but they freaking nailed it. They said pride comes before the fall. Exactly. When you start going up, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm all that. And then you keep going up, and then you hit the limit of where your ego will let you go. And then boom, something snaps. And you're like, why is this not happening like it was? And then it's a quick fall. It's a quick fall. And I tend to feed into that because, again, I tend to be self-conscious. The more self-conscious you are, the more you see your ups and your downs. You are I am acutely aware of these ups and downs. And so when I see myself going up, I tend to feed on it. When I see myself going down, I tend to feed on it. And it's never a good thing. Either way, going up or going down, that is never a good thing. And so one step in the right direction is the elimination of dopamine releasing substances. And it's obviously I haven't been doing it for very long. If I had drinks last weekend, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to be less this, more even. I'm trying to be a good storyteller. And I'd like to be more in the moment, because the more in the moment you are, the more you can connect things, and then the funnier you can be. And that's really that's really my end goal. My brother's always been funnier than me. I've always had really funny friends, and I've never been the funny guy, but I can tell a funny story. And certain people think that I'm funny. It's just not my brother. Yeah. Anyway. My funny is very silly. And it's very... My Grandpa Bridgman, he was real silly. And he was real fun and goofy and just lighthearted. And that's my kind of humor. When I'm silly and when I'm lighthearted, that's when I can be funny. And for a long time, I haven't been lighthearted. And so I haven't been able to be silly. So I want to be that. I want to be that. I want to be lighthearted, and it brings me back again to why I'm doing this. It's to make order out of the chaos. And when I understand the things that are happening, it's a lot easier to be lighthearted because you're not worried about all the chaos that's surrounding you. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Let's pound this pre-workout. How about that? Think I can do it? I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to take a break. I'm going to do this all the way through. Check this out. Wow, that's really cold. Halfway through, I was like, I'm going to quit. I'm not doing this. This hurts a lot. And then I was like, okay, I said I was going to do this, so I have to do it. Anyway, I did it. Whoo, boy. I need to eat my beans. It's leg day. So the goal is to be a good person, to be fun, and to just be able to speak. I want to speak well. And so I'm gonna do this more often, because I honestly have a great time. This is a lot of fun. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. I think I've been here for more than an hour. So yeah. I think I'll sign it off there. This was good for me. I'm going to do this more often. All right. Have a wonderful day, whatever it is you're doing. Spread love. Know God loves you. Try to be a good person and make somebody laugh today. I say that mostly to myself. All right. Much love.